the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2012. It's been a pleasure working with my friend, the Ranking Member, Ms. Sanchez, to put together this year's mark. The Ranking Member and I undertook an ambitious oversight agenda for the subcommittee, and over the past 3 months, we've held 4 hearings, 4 briefings, and 6 educational briefings. I believe we've crafted a mark that has bipartisan support, sound measures, and budget recommendations. As a result of the fact that the vote has been called, I know that everyone has had the opportunity to review the mark. It has been, of course, online, and the public has had an opportunity also. As you're aware, our committee has issues involving nuclear weapons, missile defense, space, and intelligence. This has been both a bipartisan and a very active process, with all of the members of the subcommittee contributing. In putting the mark together, I would like to thank Carrie Bingen, also Leonor Tomero, staff, and Alejandra Villarreal. I'm certain I screwed that one up. And Tom Carrico and Drew Walter, both of which who are fellows here who have contributed. I specifically wanted to thank Carrie again because, as I've said in our pre-mark, Carrie is a recognized expert in these fields in addition to having worked very diligently in this. So we appreciate the credibility and the tenacity that you bring to this. I would also like to thank Dan Bergen from my personal staff, who has helped us coordinate. With that, I'd like to turn to Ms. Sanchez in hopes that we can do this mark and at the same time make votes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to all our subcommittee members for all of their leadership and contribution to the subcommittee in this new session of Congress. We've actually been meeting quite a bit. Overall, I'm very pleased with the Strategic Forces mark. I'd like to comment specifically the importance of protecting national security in a constrained budget environment, the bipartisan view on the National Nuclear Security Administration programs, particularly in light of the new START treaty, and of course in missile defense. I think if you take a look at the mark, in a lot of places we're very well engaged and very together. Obviously there is a place where we disagree, and that's the need of the $100 million funding increase over the budget request for the ground-based mid-course defense system, which was included in the mark, and I intend to offer an amendment at the full committee, Mr. Chairman. I also have some concerns about certain funding cuts in the mark. I know we're working with some of our members, Mr. Garamendi, Mr. Henrik, Mr. Ruppersberger, and others, and I look forward to an engaging debate, and it has been a pleasure to work with you on this, and I do consider you a friend. Thank you, Michael. And I would like to thank our staff, all of our staff, including Leonor, who's been working very hard with Carrie, and both of them have worked, I think, in a very bipartisan manner. So in closing, I'd like to reiterate my thanks in working with you, Mr. Turner, and let's move forward.
Recognizing that there are votes, and we're hoping to proceed with the mark, does anyone have any comments that they would like to make prior to action on the bill? Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Congresswoman Sanchez, thank you for allowing me to speak today. As a member of this committee, I would like to express my appreciation for the goodwill, assistance, and advice that all staff, majority and minority, have offered on this bill. I agree that the committee should urge the President to devise a national propulsion strategy in light of the cancellation of the Constellation program. We need a new roadmap outlining our future in space. We must commit to return to space through a program run by NASA in the lead, working with the private sector. I'm concerned that the mark we are considering does not include the $160.8 million requested by the U.S. Missile Defense Agency for the Precision Tracking Space System, PTSS, that was included in the President's budget. The PTSS is a satellite system which tracks ballistic missiles as they coast through space. As is currently designed, PTSS will consist of multiple satellites in low Earth orbit whose infrared sensors would track missile warheads in space. Space situational awareness must be one of our top priorities. Cuts to our space programs could have serious consequences on our ability to dominate space. The Chinese continue to launch systems into space that could cause severe harm to the United States. We must do more to continue to ensure our space health and safety and not cut programs that work to protect it. I believe that eliminating funding for the PTSS is the wrong course of action. The fact that China continues to pump money into their space plan is subsidizing private investments in space technology and setting their sights on a moon landing by 2020, quite possibly with a partnership with Russia, is of great concern. We must support funding for the research and development of technologies that will enable us to protect the security of our country on land and in the skies, and allow our research labs, universities, and private companies to do what they do best, innovate. Thank you, and I look forward to working with the chairman and ranking member as we move forward to full committee.
Thank you.
You go back.
We will now proceed to mark up H.R. 1540, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2012. The members should have before them copies of our subcommittee's mark and directive report language. Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with. Are there any further discussions or questions on the chairman's mark? If there is no further discussion, the chair lays before the members the text of the mark for consideration. Without objection, the mark is open to amendment at any point. Are there any amendments? Hearing none. The question now occurs on the adoption of the mark. So many as are in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the mark is now adopted. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Franks, for the purposes of a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the subcommittee report the mark favorably to the full committee.
The question is on the motion of the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Franks. So many as are in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. A quorum being present, the ayes have it, and the mark is adopted. And without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. Without objection, members have 5 legislative days within which to submit written statements into the record. So ordered. I also ask unanimous consent that staff be authorized to make necessary conforming technical and clerical changes and to remove from the mark as amended, or if and other amendments, provisions that would cause the mark to refer to other committees or would result in additional direct spending or would result in earmark. Without objection, so ordered. There being no further legislative business before the subcommittee, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.